Hey witches, welcome to Busy, Gritty, Inked, and Witchy, a magical living podcast for the busy witch. I'm Morgan, eclectic witch of almost 25 years, Avalon priestess, and busy witch. Here we'll talk all things witchy, from current metaphysical happenings to my busy witch tips and tricks, and everything in the in-between. This podcast is my personal journey, filled with my knowledge, opinions, and unique way of looking at the world. Join me as I weave the magical and the mundane in every episode. Hey witches, welcome back to Busy, Gritty, Inked, and Witchy. I'm Morgan, and as promised last week, I am talking about Mars Retrograde on today's episode. Now, a few things to say before we get started. Number one, for those of you seeing me on YouTube, yes, I am wearing a sweater. It is cold here in Tucson. It is sweater weather, at least for today. I think we're supposed to have a high of like 60. And that's cold here in Arizona. But the wind is going crazy, which is the next thing that I want to say. If you all hear the wind, it's insane. Okay, so if that happens to come through my studio where I record the podcast, tends to be a little bit of a wind tunnel when the wind gets crazy outside. So if you start to hear howling or anything like that, it is the wind. I will definitely try and clean up the audio if that is the case. Also because my computer sounds like it's about to explode. It's just fun here today. So those are the only two things I wanted to start off with. And now we can just jump right into the episode. I am going to talk about Mars's energy overall, its retrograde energy, and then give you all tips for navigating Mars retrograde, which will include a few magical things and some journal prompts as well. For those who are on the paid Patreon, you all will be getting more magic stuff as your bonus to this episode. So we're going to go a little bit more into different types of spells to do during Mars retrograde, ones to avoid, things like that. Okay? All right. Okay, so Mars retrograde started on Friday, December 6th, and it will last until about February 23rd, 24th of next year. So yes, we are going to be going through the holiday season with Mars retrograde. For those of us here in America, we're going to be going through the changing over of the president in January during Mars retrograde, and it's just fun right now. Mars retrograde happens every 2-ish years. It's something like every 26 months. So we did not have one in 2023. And it was glorious because during Mars retrograde, just to sum it up as quickly as I can, everyone becomes an asshole during Mars retrograde. Everyone. Okay. The more asshole-ish shit happens depending on where Mars is in your birth chart. And we'll get into that a little bit more too. But yeah, so we did not have one in 2023. The last time we had one was in 2022. And yeah, everyone just becomes an asshole. So generally speaking, Mars energy deals with action, courage, determination, strength, assertiveness, and passion. It also determines like how we go about achieving our desires. How do we get the things that we want? How do we pursue our goals? All of that falls under Mars energy. Okay. When Mars retrograde happens, so for those who are like super new, a retrograde is when a planet appears to be moving backward in the sky. Okay, it's not actually going backwards in its orbit, but it all has to do with like perception or perspective of the Earth to that planet and Earth's orbit to that planet's orbit. And basically what happens is because of the different speeds of the planets, their orbits, the different shapes of the orbits, because the orbits are not, like perfectly spherical. They're, a lot of them are oblong. All of this goes into the fact that what it looks like is from Earth it looks like Mars is going backwards in its orbit. It's just an optical illusion. Mars is still moving forward, but because of our perspective, it looks like it's moving backwards. Okay. And that's true. When you hear the word retrograde, that's what it means. So Jupiter goes retrograde, Saturn, all of the planets go retrograde at some point during the year, or with Mars, it's every 2 years. I believe Venus also has a longer retrograde, like period in between retrogrades. But the rest of them, I mean, the reason Mercury, we go through 3 Mercury retrogrades a year is because Mercury, its orbit is much smaller and it's closer to the Earth. Okay. So kind of like the further out you go, the longer the retrogrades last, but that's why Mercury retrograde only lasts for like 3 weeks. Okay. Anyway, there's your retrograde 101. So when Mars retrograde is happening, the energies associated with it are anger, conflict, irritability, a decreased sex drive, your tempers flare, overreactions, and forward momentum on your goals can stop or slow down. Okay. So thank goodness it only lasts about 2.5 months. It does suck that it's during the holiday season, especially for those who have tensions in the families and they have to go visit. But it only lasts 2.5 months. So this is not like, I mean, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, like all of those last multiple months, like 3 to 6, some of them. So at least we're only tied down to like 2.5 months of this. Okay. So you're going to feel Mars retrograde the most in whatever your personal, the house that it's in your personal chart. And I know for those who don't speak astrology, your eyes are glazing over right now. I get it. I am a beginner into astrology from the standpoint, I don't know the houses. I don't know what the house energies are, but I know the energies associated with the different signs, the different planets. And so going from there, like I have to look stuff up. So basically for me, I'll let you all know because it's going to be fun. I shared this with my husband too this morning, and he just gave me like the look of death because for me, Mars lies in my 7th house, which is my house of relationships. So over the next 2.5 months, there might be some butting of heads with, my husband and people close to me, and it's already started. So, yeah, anyway, so whatever, if you run your birth chart, then, look at whatever house. I basically just pulled up the PDF of my birth chart and did, Control F to find, and then I typed in the word Mars and went to what house it's in. So I actually have a Mars in Aquarius in my 7th house, which is the house of relationships. So that's where I'm going to feel it the most, is in my relationships. And how it's going to affect me the most is where my Aquarian traits come in, because my Mars is an Aquarius. So there's a chance for me personally, I'm going to feel backed into a corner a lot. I'm going to feel like I'm not getting my way. I'm going to feel like I'm being stifled as far as communication or my personal, like what I'm trying to achieve. So that's it. It's not like an end all be all. It's not like you read this and it's 100% going to happen. But it's nice to have like a little heads up, and that's what your birth chart can give you, is a heads up. Okay. Also, if you are an Aries or Scorpio, or wherever you have Aries and Scorpio placements in your chart, Aries and Scorpio is ruled by the planet Mars, so those areas are also going to be affected. So yeah, I did not even look that up because I didn't want to know, frankly, like where my Aries and Scorpio placements are in my chart. I was like, we're just going to leave that right now. I have a lot to take in with, Mars in Aquarius in my 7th house. So, but that's how you would read your chart if you have your chart. If you don't have your chart, I highly recommend cafeastrology.com. We'll give you a free chart. It is very in-depth. So you can save it to your computer. You can print it out. And it's really good. Like, it's really detailed. It tells you a lot about yourself. And that's where you can really start to get to know yourself. Okay. So tips for navigating Mars retrograde. Now, I'm going to start with a controversial one because I posted a Reels last week about this. It was just a quick 1-minute video about Mars retrograde, how everyone's going to be an asshole, tempers are flared, and what you can do to work with the energy of Mars retrograde. Now, I say in the video, I'm not an astrologer because I am not an astrologer. All right. So that did not stop the people from correcting me. I guess the astrologers out there from correcting me and telling me that my video was wrong. I love the internet. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you all what I said, and then I'm fucking doubling down on it, and I'm going to explain why. I heard you, astrologers. I heard you tell me that I'm wrong, okay? I don't have a problem with people telling me that I'm wrong. But I'm going to tell you what goes on in my head because, again, lots of Aquarius placements. I'm all over the place. And then I'm going to tell you why I'm doubling down on what I said. I'm doubling down on it today, okay? So, what I said is that you should, to tap into this energy, and to make it work for you, that you should use your anger as fuel. Okay? If the anger is going to be there, you should use it as fuel. And what I said specifically was, if there was someone or something, a situation in your life that you have been wanting to cut out, and you have been too nice to do it, then now's the time to do it. Use that anger, use that aggression to cut that person or that toxic situation out of your life. That's what I said, okay? To which I was met with, now is not a time for anger and aggression. You should not be leaning into it. You should not be using it. You should be trying to not have your anger flare up. You should not be setting boundaries during this time. You should not be cutting things out during this time. And one of them was a complete love and light person because they commented something about positive vibes only, and that made me want to vomit, but I just left it because obviously me and the positive vibes only person, we're not going to see eye to eye. Anyway, so they were all saying that you should do conflict resolution and avoid leaning into the anger and aggression. Okay, flipping over my notebook. This is why I don't agree with that. Okay? If you are someone who has had a toxic person or situation hanging around for too damn long in your life, because you have not had the guts to stand up to them or to cut that person out, okay? Or cut that situation out or stop doing that thing. Then, and you get pissed off. Something happens during Mars retrograde. You get pissed off and you all of a sudden get the balls to stand up for yourself. Then fucking do it, okay? If you don't do it, you are working against the energy. If this is something you have been wanting to do for so long, but you've been too scared, or you have wanted to be the nice person, or you've wanted to be love and light and stay positive vibes only, and the person keeps being toxic to you, they keep taking advantage of you, they keep treading all over you, then fucking cut them out. Use this anger, this aggression to get them the fuck out of your life, okay? That is what I meant by what I said, okay? So I'm doubling down on it. I stand firm by what I just said. Use the anger and the aggression if you are a person who doesn't normally deal in anger and aggression. Now, if you are a person fueled by anger and aggression, calm the fuck down right now, okay? So that's where the distinction lies. Where is your baseline? Is your baseline love and light and trying to always stay high vibe? If so, use the anger and aggression, explore it. Find out new places about yourself, okay? If you are a person ruled by anger and aggression, then you're going to make situations worse during Mars retrograde, okay? You're going to say the wrong thing. You are going to do the wrong thing. You are going to burn bridges where they do not need to be burned, okay? So that's where you have to take the information I'm giving you and apply it to your life, because I don't know you, okay? And what I'm saying doesn't apply to every single person. When I say use the anger and aggression to cut people out of your life, that doesn't apply to everyone. If you're a person that has no problem cutting people out of your life and burning bridges, Mars retrograde is a time for you to hit the pause button, okay? If you have a lot of fire placement in your chart, if you have a lot of Mars energy, a lot of Aries, a lot of Scorpio, a lot of all of that, then you're going to be burning bridges right and left. You have no problem setting boundaries. You have no problem cutting toxic people out of your life. So during Mars retrograde, back up and hit pause before you cut someone out of your life that you don't mean to cut out of your life, okay? But if you're passive and that's who you are and you're super grounded and you don't lean into anger a lot, and you're just putting up with something over and over and over and over again that you don't want to be putting up with anymore, then now's the time for you're being given Mars retrograde to stand up for yourself and set your boundaries. Okay? So that's why I'm doubling down. Let's move on to the next point. But as y'all can see, I'm real passionate about that. And yes, when people tell me I'm wrong, this is what happens, just so you know, like, how my brain works. When people tell me I'm wrong, the first thing I do is research, because I need to know. If I'm wrong, I will admit it, like, holy shit, y'all, I told y'all something wrong last week. Or, holy shit, you guys, I said something wrong in that Reels. Okay? So I research, and the more I dove down into the energy of Mars retrograde, the more I realize I'm not fucking wrong. It is situational. Okay? So one philosophy does not apply to everyone. All right? Okay. So next point of how to kind of navigate through Mars retrograde. Because anger is heightened, you should practice patience a little bit more. And I know I hate saying shoulds, and I even just did an episode on shoulda, woulda, couldas a couple of episodes ago. But this is one of those things. This is a time, Mars retrograde is a time for you to take a look at the triggers in your life and the things that are annoying the piss out of you, okay? So it is time to hit the pause button on certain things so that you can get a clearer picture, one that's not ruled by emotion, all right? So patience, just try to keep that in the back of your mind, regardless of where your placements are, anything. Just remember that other people's placements of Mars in their chart might push them to be super angry. And you may not be so angry, so just try and have patience and understanding, especially if you are in conflict with someone, or you're butting heads with someone, or someone is annoying the piss out of you, okay? You want to take a step back, make sure your emotions align with your actions before saying or doing things. Like, do you really feel like this? And now that you're aware of Mars retrograde, you could be like, ooh, is this me? Or is this Mars retrograde? Shit. Okay, how do I really feel? Okay. You want to try and switch from reacting to something to responding to something. And there is a huge difference, because reacting is instant. You're going off of that primal section of your brain is activated and you are threatened. So therefore you react. Okay. Responding means that you've paused. You are taking that person's words, actions, whatever into consideration, and then you are applying knowledge to it. And then you are going forward and saying, okay, I've thought about it, and that's bullshit. Instead of just immediately being like, hey, that's bullshit. You have taken the appropriate measures to know in your mind, body, and soul that whatever they're saying or doing is bullshit or is not bullshit, whatever. Okay. Always keep in mind, and look, this is something I've really been working with this year. Okay. Always keep in mind that these annoyances and triggers and things that pop up for you are popping up for you. They are popping up to show you a place in your life that you need to explore more. You need to get to the root of that. That's what triggers are. That's what annoyances are. That's what anger flare-ups are. They are an invitation for you to dive deeper into yourself with that issue and explore it more to find the root cause, because more than likely there's a shadow associated with it, okay? And it is time. It's presenting itself to you now because it's time to shed light on that shadow, okay? So that's how I've been able to reframe a lot. Is like when I get pissed off, when shit happens, I take a step back and say, okay, what's the bigger picture here? What is this annoyance showing me about myself or my desires or what I will stand for or what I won't stand for anymore? Like what is it truly showing me? Okay. Oh, I'm hoping you all did not just hear my stomach growl. Holy crap. Okay. Other tips for navigating Mars retrograde. Instead of pushing, now is the time to pause and ask yourself if this path aligns with your true self and goals, especially if you're being met with resistance or roadblocks in forward movement of some kind of project, some kind of goal, some kind of intention, okay? So it is a time to hit the pause button and just say, ooh, all right, am I hitting roadblocks right now to push more, or am I hitting roadblocks now to reassess and just make sure that I'm aligned with what I'm doing right now, okay? So now's the time to tweak plans or goals, especially on big projects, on long-term projects, goals, things that you're working hard for, okay? Mars retrograde is also a time to channel your frustration constructively instead of flying off the handle, instead of yelling at your kids, instead of breaking up with your significant other, if you really didn't mean it. Try journaling, expressing through creative outlets. So if you dance, sing, paint, write, any of that, exercise, meditate, and take time outs. Okay, these are ways for you to hit that pause button so that you can ground and center your energy before moving forward. Try and avoid during Mars retrograde making major life decisions, forcing outcomes of things, and starting new projects, especially bold ones. So that whole leap of faith thing, try not to take those during Mars retrograde. Try, okay? Because it might send you down a path where you're going to learn more lessons the hard way. So, yeah. Let's do journal prompts next, and then we'll do magically. So some journal prompts for you to try and get through or to work with Mars retrograde energy include how can I express my anger more healthily, or like what is my relationship with anger? Do I express it too much? Do I not express it enough? Do I bottle shit up and then explode at the wrong moments? Hi, I'm Morgan. Nice to meet you. What long-term goals need fine-tuning to align with my true self? What emotions am I repressing? And am I rushing something that needs more time? Okay. Magically, you can use this time to build strength and resilience within yourself. Knock, knock, Ink Spirit members, building strong foundation. And that's what we're doing right now in the Ink Spirit Coven in December. So continue to do that. It's perfectly aligned with Mars retrograde. Use black candles to help release anger and frustrations. And yes, you can take a black candle, hold it in your dominant hand, cuss it out. Like, motherfucker, this is what I'm fucking releasing today. Charge it in that dominant hand with all that anger, all that frustration, all that energy, and then burn it and be like, all right, you're fucking done. I'm done with you. Write your shit down on a piece of paper, burn it, get rid of it. You can use red stones like jasper, carnelian, or garnet to help with Mars energy. So if you wanted to make a little bag or carry those around with you, that can maybe help align you with Mars energy a little bit more. And yeah. I mean, things like banishing protection, those are really good for Mars retrograde as well. And that's what I'm going to be going more into for the paid Patreon, is more retrograde magic, more Mars retrograde magic. Okay. So if you are interested in supporting me as a witchy creator, I do have the Patreon. The podcast tier is just the $5 a month tier. That's where you get this bonus information. You also get a shout out here on my podcast, which I'm about to do. If you want to, do more, there's a $9 tier, which will also get you a tarot reading every week of the week's energy. And then the $13 tier will get you PDFs. And I did just release the pendulum one. I'm working on some Yule log cookies, a Yule log cookie recipe, Book of Shadows page for you all right now. So yeah, that's my different Patreons. I should probably tell you where to go. It is patreon.com/inkedgoddesscreations. And I do have a free tier too. I'm trying to get a Yule book together, like a Yule workbook for the free tier. And I should be able to do that probably next week, like finalize it next week. So the Patreon shout outs for this week. Thank you to my new paid members, Chloe, Jennifer, Tammy, and Heidi Lynn. Thank you for being paid Patreon members. But that's what I have for you all today. Definitely explore my Patreon a little bit more if you want to go more in depth with the podcast episodes every week. I give bonus content. It's been anything from Book of Shadow pages to extra content to polls, all that kind of stuff. And if you would like to join me in the Ink Spirit Coven, we are working on building a strong inner foundation this month for the month of December. But we have in our archives, if you're interested, we have 4 years worth of content, but you get access to an Astrology 101 class along with, Book of Shadow pages for that. We also have the Magic of You class, which is where that's in the archives with the Book of Shadow pages, where you can really explore your own energy and what the energy was like when you were born. But yeah, so much stuff. It's basically like your own witchy library. Plus it comes with a live lesson and a live workshop with me every month on Zoom. Plus it comes with an extremely supportive Facebook community, a private group. So if this sounds good to you, you can visit inkedspirit.com. Yeah, and learn more and then sign up there. I want to thank you all for giving me a platform to share my knowledge, especially the stuff I'm super passionate about, and for being here, for just listening, and for accepting me for who I am and as a witchy creator. So thank you for listening. Please share the podcast with your friends, rate it, especially if you're like on Spotify listening. And yeah, I will see you all again next week. Bye.